Welcome back to another episode of the Retriever Handler Podcast. I'm Bethany Keebler.
I'm Jordan Keebler. This week we have another special guest coming on, Zack McQueen, wildlife photographer, NWTF photo contest winner. Really, really excited to hear him talk. I've heard some stories that he's told me of, photos that he's captured and the story behind it, and it just kind of left my jaw, dropped, and gave me chills just to hear these stories. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Not so much on the dogs this week, but if you're a fan of nature and wildlife, you're going to love this one. Bethany, what's new with you?
Oh, nothing. We just celebrated the 4th of July, so that was fun.
250.
250.
We shot some clay pigeons on Saturday.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's fun.
We got a clay pigeon shooter. It's not automatic. It's
ripcord.
Like
starting a leaf blower.
Yep. So that took a little bit getting used to.
There's some finesse behind it. But
Jordan's using all of mine great, but I was not so good at throwing them for him. Cutting them off, whatever you say.
There was some finesse to it, but towards the end we got it, and then it started pouring. So by the time that we all understood how to, use it, it was pouring and raining, and it was.
Which I was mad about because I wanted to have a fire.
It's been so hot here. I can't even train dogs.
I don't even want to be outside, and I thought this week was going to be better, but it's just so humid that it almost just feels like last week. Like the temperature is better, but it's just like I was sitting out there eating dinner, and I was like, I think I'm sweating just from chewing. It was horrible.
Let's give a shout out to some of our partners and sponsors. Hunt Repellent. Been using a lot of this. Almost done with my first can already. It works, people. It works. So use the link in the description below. Get yourself some of this for 10% off. It's funny, I sprayed my whole body on July 4th, and I had socks on at the time. And then we went to the pool, so then I didn't have socks on, and I was shooting clay pigeons without, flip-flops on. So my ankles were unprotected, and the mosquitoes got me. So everywhere else
was protected. His ankles,
they weren't protected. So
fuck it up.
Get yourselves some of this. And of course, Alpha Dog Nutrition, great sponsors. We love Alpha Dog. If it was me and if I was buying the first product, I would automatically go to Balance. You will not regret it. Some of the other probiotics, they just didn't do it for us. Alpha Dog, if our dogs are off it, we know it because stuff happens. Alpha Dog Balance keeps them in check and regular and solid stool. So use code RH15 at checkout for 15% off your order, and I can guarantee you will not look back. Anything else you want to cover, B?
I think so. You got anything?
No, I have a lot of questions for Zack, so even our rapid fires cut short, so let's just jump right into it.
Yep.
Let's have a day. Episode 17 brings us with Zack McQueen, a wildlife photographer, very famous wildlife photographer.
Wouldn't call myself famous, but thank you.
Well,
we think you're famous.
Yeah, you do a pretty good job.
Thanks, man.
And before, let's just connect the dots a little bit. So, Zack and I met in college. We both went to Pitt Johnstown, and we hung out pretty much. I wouldn't say maybe every weekend, but a lot of weekends we were drinking together. And then your brother, I met your brother too. And between both of you guys, I mean, it was always a ton of fun to be around you guys. And then Bethany, when she came on to came in UPJ, then I think you were gone by then, Zack, but she spent a lot of time with your brother too. So
okay.
But that's kind of how we met, and kind of progressed since then. And now Zack's brother Jake makes all of our hats and
small world
hoodies and stuff. So it's just wanted to give that a quick glimpse as to kind of how we do know each other, because I would say the majority of our guests the first time meeting is this.
Yeah.
But unlike you, we've met before. So
Right. So you just reach out, you find them you follow them on Instagram, like you know these people through social media, and then you just reach out.
yeah, and a
Wow, I
lot of them
feel
like
I'm honored.
yeah, a lot of them.
Our first guest that we know.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like,
Matt Michael, we knew.
oh yeah, Michael we knew, but we only met him like once or twice before that, and it was like during hunt tests. So
A lot of these guys, like I feel like I do know because I followed them for so long, or we talked in Instagram Messenger, things like that.
Yeah,
But
right.
nothing to this extent of
Right.
throwing beers back on a Saturday night and you're 20 years old or 21 years old.
What a time to be alive, man.
Yeah. All right. We always start with rapid fire questions, get to know you a little bit better. We actually cut this one short because we have a lot of questions for you. So we cut this short, and then the majority of the episode will be just all about you. So Billy, start us off.
rapid fire. Favorite movie of all time?
Jurassic Park.
Favorite TV show of all time?
Oh gosh. Friends?
That's a good one. What's your favorite species to photograph and why?
I gotta say the wild turkey, definitely what I'm known for. I love being able to talk to them. That's the best part.
That's awesome.
Hardest animal to capture?
Hardest animal to capture is the loon because I
hell?
haven't captured it yet.
Bird?
Yes, it's a bird. Yeah, it makes that really eerie sound. If you look it up, you'll know the sound. I think they're up north here, but if you go up into New York, Michigan, they're up there, and it's a very eerie, like almost like a Yeti type sound on the lake. It's pretty crazy. Look it up.
Okay.
Interesting.
If you could spend 1 week anywhere in the world photographing one species with unlimited budget, where would you go and what would you hope to capture?
First thing that pops to mind is New Zealand for stag. But I've been to Alaska. I would die to have another week there. I hope to go back again. Well, I'm going back next year, but I would love to do a week right now. If somebody called me and said, "You're going to Alaska tomorrow," I would drop everything and go.
Gotcha.
Have you ever been there when it was like completely like dark and there was like no sunlight?
No. So last year was the first time I ever went to Alaska, and that was in August to photograph the brown bears. And it was light until about 9:30, 10 o'clock, which in August is pretty good. Right now, if you were to go right now, you could photograph bears until about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And you can see until 1, 2 in the morning. And the sun never crosses completely under the horizon. It's always a sliver and then it comes right back up. Yeah.
Is that when you would want to go if you were to go back, or would you go at a different
Yeah.
time?
So next year I'm going over 4th of July weekend.
Okay.
I am very, very afraid. I tend to push myself way too far. So I'm very afraid that I'm just going to be like, I don't care. I'll photograph till 2 a.m. Sleep doesn't matter. It's probably going to happen. But yeah, I mean, that's just how I am. That's how that's what I want to do. So yeah, I'll let you guys know next year how that goes. How much sleep I actually get.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're there to do a job, right? So sleep is probably not your biggest concern at that point. You want to do what you went there for.
Right. So next year it was really cool. I went last year in August. It was went for 6 days and photographed brown bears. Actually, a week after I got home, got a call from a guide there, and he said, "Do you want to come back?" And I was like, "Well, hell yeah, I want to come back." And he's like, "Do you want to be a guide?" And I was like, "I have a full-time job. Like I can't. I'm 34 years old. I'm not the 21-year-old kid that, does ski patrol in the winter and then does that in the summer."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay, how about this? 1 or 2 weeks of summer, you come out here and you teach people photography and you make a little bit of money." And I was like, "Hell yeah." So it starts next year. Couldn't do it this year, so it starts next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
there for a second.
You're
I was going to sneeze. Sorry. Can you do us a favor and point your camera up a little bit more? Is that possible?
Right.
That's good now. So, yeah, the top of your head was cut off a little bit, but now we're good.
Yeah. I noticed it was cut off, but you guys said I was good. So I was like,
you you really took our word for that.
yeah. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
All right, awesome. Let's just jump right into that. I got my eyes dilated this morning, so I'm having trouble like
You can't see.
reading. No, it's weird.
You said you could see.
It got better than what it was, but like now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, whoa. But all right, here we go. So what have been some of your professional accomplishments? I know you won the NWTF. What was that? Just a photo contest?
Yeah, so they do a photo contest every year. Last year I placed second with a whitetail image. This year I got grand prize and first place with 2 different turkey images. The state of Wyoming bought a photo from me to put in their calendar. It was, I don't know if you remember, it's the elk bugling and you can see his breath.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. So don't get into that right now. Yeah.
So yeah, so they bought that photo, which was fantastic. Professional, I mean, those are the highlights for sure. This isn't a full-time job by any means. I make a little bit of money on it. My biggest seller, I guess, is calendars. People love the calendars. I print huge ones, like really big ones, and it's really thick paper, and those do very, very well. But in terms of accomplishments, it's pretty much personal accomplishments where we'll say January, I'll make a list of stuff I want to capture. So last year was the big one was capture a turkey gobbling and see his breath. And I worked my butt off for that. And then, every year, like this year was have a turkey strutting in front of a antler shed in spring to kind of coincide the 2 seasons.
That's cool.
So in terms of big professional accomplishments, hopefully one day I can say, cover a magazine, something like that. But as of right now, I just have very personal goals that I want to reach.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I don't think you're giving that photo contest with the NWTF enough credit. I think you should be like really proud of that, right? I mean, well, and then what's the difference between grand prize and first prize?
So grand prize, money,
Okay.
and then I get a full page in their magazine.
Okay.
So grand prize is $1,000. First place is $750, and then if you get grand prize, you get a full page and a press release, which was cool.
That's cool.
So I had somebody reach out, and they called me, and I didn't know. I literally got the email saying that I got grand prize, and maybe an hour later, they're like, "Can we call you?" I was like, I can't put into words, like, this is something I've wanted for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
You get the email and it just says, congratulations. And you're just like, wait, and you read it 10 times. And, so I was like, listen, I got to type it out. So I typed out this big press release thing, and they did a whole press release. And then in the magazine, there's a whole page with the photo, which was really cool. And the photo that won grand prize was taken on my family farm where there are never turkeys. So It was just a fantastic spur of the moment. I was walking through the back field. You've been to the farm.
Yeah. We both have.
I was walking. Oh, yeah. Bethany, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So you get to the top of the hill behind the house, and it's a big hay field.
Yep.
And I just poked my head over, and there was a turkey walking through the field after we just cut hay. And I didn't have binoculars or anything. And I was like, that'd be really cool if that was a longbeard. I have no idea. He goes into the little patch of the woods down there and just fires, just hammers. And this was like 4:00 in the afternoon. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm sitting there. He pops out of the woods and starts walking up. I'm like, he's going to roost right behind the house. So I sprint back to the house, and this is a good, I don't know, half a mile. Sprint back to the house, get my camouflage on, grab my camera, run into the woods, get to the fence line. I belly crawl to a tree, and then I go out into the tractor path that goes through the middle of the woods. And I just cut a couple times. So just like that real quick. And he freaking cuts me off. He's at like 30 yards. I'm like, okay. So then I crawl back to my spot, hunker down, throw the blanket over me. And no joke, he comes. The reason I didn't call from the tree that I was photographing from, turkeys are notorious for going to the spot that they hear. Like they can pinpoint it to a foot, and that would have been really bad. So I went out to call where I wanted to photograph him. And no joke, I get the cover over me and I'm sitting there and nothing. And I don't want to call from where I am because he'll come way too close. And I have that big lens. So sitting there, and I hear the doom of the spitting and drumming.
Yeah.
He's at 10 yards behind me.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, oh no. And so I'm sitting there just listening to the doom and the leaves scraping from his wings. And I was like, well, this is not working. And I just stay quiet. And he walks, again, I wish I was kidding, 5 feet to my left. Just walks by me strutting, spitting and drumming. Walks by me, goes right dead on to the spot that I called from and just sits there and struts for a good 15 minutes. Hit the photo that won grand prize is him popping out a strut. So he's half strut looking to see if he can see the hen. And he stood there and he hammered, he spit and drum. He did everything to try and figure out where that hen was. And then he worked off and flew up into the tree to roost. But it was and we don't have turkeys on the farm. So the fact that I even got that photo was beyond anything that I ever could imagine, especially on a farm, but really cool that it won grand prize.
That's awesome.
We're 13 minutes into this and you already gave me goosebumps.
I know.
That's
Just
great,
like
man.
the last time.
Honestly, I could just listen to your
I know. It's
for some reason.
Yeah, I saw you at that what was that, Freeport Days, and you were telling me about that elk, and I was just like, just like looking at you, and I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
The spitting and drumming, like when I was young, and when I would hear that in the woods, I mean, talk about adrenaline rush when you hear that.
Yeah.
That's a sound I wish everybody could experience because that is so cool to hear.
Yeah.
So cool to hear.
I bought a really good microphone this year to try and pick that up because it doesn't pick up on a camera. It really doesn't. And the microphone does pick it up, but you have to know what you're listening for. Otherwise, like my girlfriend, if I'm like, there he is spitting drum, like, listen. Yeah. And to her, it honestly just feels like somebody just kind of went like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you don't know what you're listening for, and it's crazy when you're hunting and these birds have been hunted and called to, all they'll do is spit and drum. They won't gobble. So if you don't know to listen for that, he could be on top of you and you have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey hunting is
I've never been turkey hunting.
it is a crazy hunt, right? I mean, there's so much that goes on to it, just like what you're alluding to right there. And also that mouth call that you just did was really impressive. Do you actually use a call when you go, or do you just do that?
I know. I use a mouth call mostly, and then I've been working with Owl Hollow game calls. They're actually Pennsylvania local. A lot of people don't know about them, but they are fantastic calls. And he reached out to me 3 years ago and was like, "Hey man, I want to send you some calls." And this was back when I had like 900 followers. So he saw something which was fantastic, and he sent me calls, and he sends me them every February. He's like, I got some new ones. He actually did some Zack McQueen photography special edition. I think he made like 10 of them and sold those. So
No way.
really, really, yeah. But in terms of like a mouth call, yes, I use it if I am driving by a park, driving by a plot of woods or something like that, and I have my camera but no call, I will definitely hop in the woods and call. And it works. I mean, they're not the smartest birds in the world, so if you sound anything remotely close, it works.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Go ahead, B. I could just keep going on. So let's just stick to let's stick to the script.
So what has been like, what was your first picture where I guess you could answer this two different ways. One, that you were like, oh my gosh, I can do this professionally. Like that was so good. Or two, that made you fall in love with the sport of photography.
Yeah, so photography all started with hunting. And to me it really is just hunting, but with a camera. So I'm figuratively pulling the trigger, but I get to do it at 20 frames per second and go back the next day and do it again.
Yeah.
Uh, I still love hunting. I still hunt, but I will always have my bow or my shotgun with me, and then my camera, and then it's always a split decision of what I'm actually going to do. Uh, Side note: it's always photography. There.
Photography.
Like,
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
yeah, yeah, it really never changes. I buy the license. I take the bow. I take the shotgun. Something really special has to happen for me to actually shoot. Like I shot a turkey last year because it was super foggy. My camera would not focus, so pulled the shotgun out, shot a turkey. If it's an absolute giant buck and the lighting conditions are the best, I will pull the camera and hope that I see him again at some point.
Yeah.
But it all started with hunting, and it all started. I was in a tree stand. A fox ran underneath my tree and stood there and was hunting. And I was like, it'd be really cool to have a camera. So I went out and bought it was like a $800 kit. It came with two crappy little lenses and a body, and it wasn't anything special at all. But it was something that I could take up into the tree stand with me. And then I started photographing like blue jays and noticed that lighting and everything was really cool. And then it just progressed, and now I have a lens that is like this big. So uh,
Nice.
it, I don't know if there was one photo that made me think I can do this really, really well. I'm sure if I went back, I could find something. Um, but specifically, I remember taking a photo. I had my camera. It was a foggy morning. I took a photo of my parents' horses in the pasture, and my mom was just like, "This is incredible." And of course, moms are going to say that. But then Jake, my brother, was just like, "I want this printed and framed and above my bed." And I was like, "Okay, well, you're my brother, but that's interesting. So I did that, and I really liked how it looked. And then it just kind of progressed from there. And then I was like, well, I love to hunt, and it's the same thing. Like you get the adrenaline rush. Um, Still have to be downwind, wear camouflage, all that stuff. Um, but there's just such a thrill of taking a photo and then living in that moment and then going home and doing the editing and reliving all of it again, which
Yeah.
I'd live for that. And in Alaska, there was no service, so in terms of editing, I couldn't really do much editing. So I had to go 6 days of taking thousands of photos and being like, these are insane. And then, a 7-hour flight home. And then now I have to catch up on sleep, but I didn't want to sleep. I just wanted to edit. And it's like it just lasts so much longer. And it's like, when you shoot a big buck or something like that and you tell the camp story years later and you still get that feeling, it's the same thing. So the editing process is just like, oh, if I do this, the grass really pops or the flowers around the animal really pops or his eyes are glowing here. Like it's just a whole thing. And it's, it's such a thrill, man. I absolutely love it.
We can tell, I mean, I can tell your passion just by listening to you talk, right? And I think
Yeah.
our listeners will be able to pick that up as well. I mean, you seem very passionate about it and it shows, right? I mean, the pictures you get are just outstanding. I mean, it's so
Thanks,
cool to
man.
look at. It is so cool to look at.
That's how you know that like you found your passion and
Yeah.
you found what you're good at, because like
Yeah.
at the editing part, that would be the part that most people dread, or like, oh, I got to do all these images. But you turned that into something that you just straight up love doing and love reliving it. So that's
Yeah.
how you know that you love it and that's your passion. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's funny because I get a lot of people that will say, "Hey, can you photograph my wedding? Can you photograph my family portraits?" And we just had a baby. We want to do family photos and stuff like that. I dread that. I don't
Yeah.
want it. Like, that's not my. And then
Yeah,
I'll
I
get
get
people that
that.
say, "Yeah, it's just not." And
Yeah.
I photograph my sister's wedding, and I'll photograph people that I know, just because for me, I hate the fake, like, "Hey, smile," even though
Yeah.
nothing's actually funny.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's not my favorite thing. But whenever I photograph people, like my sister's wedding, obviously I know everybody that was at that wedding, so I could walk up and adjust people and actually like move them around the way I wanted them. If it's a random family that I don't know, it's a pretty awkward scenario. And then they'll bring their dog and be like, "We'd love to do photos of your dog." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I love that. That's great. We'll do that."
Maybe the dog could just have the whole photo shoot.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody, yeah, yeah. So like in fall is pretty busy for me too, because the leaves are changing. I love that where I can set up
Yeah.
little scenes for the dogs. So I buy a whole bunch of pumpkins and I'll set up little
Uh,
scenes
that's so
very fall, and then have the dogs kind of like sit by the pumpkins, lay by pumpkins, jump over the pumpkins like it's a whole thing. And I truly enjoy that, but people is just not my thing.
yeah. That's fine. I mean, like that I get that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
So when circling back to the prior question with the NWTF,
Mhm.
is the goal in mind to, so for instance, like in the dog world, the goal, I guess, for a lot of people is to become a grand hunting retriever champion, right?
Correct, yeah.
But not only that, it would be a 4-time grand hunting retriever champion. So in photography, is that like a thing where you would want to be a 4, 5, 6-time NWTF grand prize winner? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it don't get me wrong, the money's great, the press release is really cool, definitely, um, spiked my social media, if that's even important, which honestly, social media to me is just a free website so that people can see my work. And if I get a lot of messages of like, "I'd love to buy this, can you frame it?" All that stuff. That's great. If social media wasn't a thing, I would still photograph. Like, I would still fill my home with framed photos of everything that I have. Would I love to go back to back grand prize? Hell yeah, that's $1,000 in my pocket. Um, a little spoiler: I got a turkey photo in my back pocket that not many people have seen, so that will be submitted, and
Oh,
hopefully,
cool.
I
Nice.
I like to think that because nobody's seen it, the judges are gonna be like, "Whoa, what is this?" So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the idea. Um, I think the goal is, in terms of photos and you know it taking me somewhere, I guess. The goal would be a cover of a well-known magazine. That would be really cool. But man, photography has taken me to Alaska, Montana, Colorado, Wyoming. It has given me so many trips that I didn't even know existed. It has taken me places that I didn't even know existed. Seen animals closer than most people have probably ever didn't even know existed. Um, brown bears at 10 feet, moose. We got charged by a moose last year. That was a freaking wild experience. But um, my goal has never been to be back to back or a champion or anything like that. My goal is to have stories that make you guys like the way you feel. And
Yeah.
whenever people ask me, "What is this photo?" I can tell you the time of year, the exact spot that I was standing, everything that I was feeling, how it happened. Um, it's it's something that I just it's again like hunting, where you can sit around a campfire and tell the story, and people are just like, "Holy shit, what about this photo?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what's most important to me. I mean, if I make money off it, great. I don't know that I ever will make enough money to like quit my job, but I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool.
What has been your, like, biggest challenge in building your career so far?
Um, it's not cheap. So, Pennsylvania, I'm lucky that we do have elk here. We have a wide variety of animals. The biggest challenge is, I think if I wanted to make this a real career, make a real run at it, I would probably have to move out west. which I will never do. I love traveling there. I love my 3 or 4 days there, but there are so many people. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. It is oversaturated, I feel like, out there right now, at least, like,
Yeah,
with people and everybody wants to be there, and yeah, I get that.
Um, again, not to not to keep going back, but I am. My mind works weird, man. So just let it out there. So when you got that picture that you won grand prize on, I'm assuming the lighting had to. If I had to put a percentage on it, I would say 100%. Right? It had to be 100% to actually catch the turkey's breath. Right? I mean, that's all lighting, isn't it?
dude. It's uh so there's so many factors. That was 3 years that took me because nothing ever worked out perfectly. So the light has to be behind the animal, so they have to be backlit. Now, when an animal's backlit, you don't have much time. So it's in the morning. Um, the sun has to be barely peeking over the horizon. So now you have a backlit animal. But if that sun gets fully over the horizon, you're bleached out. The photos are dead. So you have a little, I'd say, 10-minute window. So backlit photo, you or subject, the temperature has to be around 30 degrees, uh, obviously cold, and then
Yeah.
humidity has to be high. So you can have a 30-degree morning, but if the humidity is super low, you won't have breath. It just won't happen. You need humidity to let it trail. Like you'll see a breath, but it'll be quick and gone. If there's humidity, it'll hang. And then no wind. Yeah, so everything has to be perfect. And that's why turkeys are the best choice if you want that photo. Now, red-winged blackbirds are really good too. I got a bunch of those this year. Um, red-winged blackbirds are very predictable, so you can position in a way that you'll see them. So you can always have the sun behind where you think they're going to land. Now, turkeys, you can call them in position, but if you call too much, they'll get way too close or they'll circle you. So it's a whole thing, man. And then everything has to be timed. So you have to be far enough away from the roost that when they fly down, they're not there in the pitch black. So it's all dude, it's so much patience. Like I sit there in the dark and they're hammering on the tree, and then the want to call them is
Yeah.
so high. But you have to wait till they hit the ground because if you call too early, they fly down early and they're in your lap and it's way too dark. So like you want to sit there and call, but you have to let them hit the ground. But when they hit the ground, most of the time they've already decided where they want to go. Your calling means nothing. So you have to have a willing bird that is just like, oh, wait, what's that over there? I'll turn around. Dude, I love the chase so much. And it's turned into a 3-month thing. So turkey season is 1 month if you want to hunt them. But if you want to photograph them, I start early March.
So
Yeah.
fair, dude. It's so cool to
So
hear.
given all of that, and I don't know, well, actually, I know that you said you have personal goals, like you'll set them at the beginning of the year and then you'll, try to get one shot that you think. So how much of your photography is like preparation based and how much of it is like luck or just like maybe wildlife photography in general? Like how much,
Yeah,
like
that's
what
a
would you
freaking
say?
great question. Yeah. Um, there's a lot of tracking involved and there's a lot of frustration. So, um, you know, there is a lot of luck. I'd say 20% of the time that I go out with my camera, I get a photo that I want to edit and post on social media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the
So, and
percent?
20.
20.
20%. And then, so you asked about accomplishments earlier. I did have a contract with an app, Huntwise.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Onyx, but
Yeah.
Huntwise. So they reached out. I signed a contract, and it was the coolest thing, man. I would go out and take 100 photos of whitetails, we'll say. So they wanted whitetail, elk, and turkey, and So I'd go out and photograph in the morning and take 100 photos. And out of those 100 photos of whitetails, I would absolutely love 2 or 3. The rest I would just highlight, delete. He goes, "No, I want the 97." He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "If it's something that we can promote our app, like, we want it." Now, the number that they wanted was high, so, like, 350 photos of whitetails. I think it was, like, 300 photos of turkeys, and then they also wanted 50 videos of whitetails, which I don't do video often, 50 videos of turkey. So, that kinda made it a job, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, "I'm not sure that I will ever do a contract like this again," just because every time I was going out, if I saw a little buck, I would be like, "Oh, I got it. I'll just take 20 photos of him doing something random and submit them." But it took away from the excitement of, "Oh, little buck, that's cool. Where's the big boy?"
Yeah.
So I was kind of stuck for 10 minutes, just like I got to fill my quota and then move on. Um, so that kind of gave me a quick lesson on how I want to pursue and what I want. Now, if a magazine, I have a good portfolio now where if a magazine reached out and said, "We would love an elk doing this, a whitetail doing this, a turkey doing this," that I could go back and find it. I'm sure whatever they were looking for. Um, but for hunt wise, yeah, they were just looking for, you know, anything that they could throw on their social media to create engagement.
Okay, that was my question. What were they doing with the photos? So they were putting on social media then?
Social media,
They
just,
tag you?
yeah, that was part of the contract. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Um, and then they would make little reels and stuff like that and throw the videos that I had, and then had one of their spokesperson people talking over the reel or something like that. So
Gotcha.
yeah, part of the contract was you have to tag me. So
Yeah.
Is that still something you're doing, or is that contract void?
contracts ended. I submitted everything in, I think it was end of December was when I submitted everything, and then they paid me end of January after everything was reviewed.
Nice.
And then the guy that reached out and I signed a contract with actually moved to reveal cell cams. So
Oh, okay.
that would be a great in. He's reached out a couple times and just, he said that my name's come up a couple times, which is wild to me that that's even possible. But he said he would reach out if reveal wanted something. I have ideas for reveal. If they ever reached out, I have, especially for turkeys, like I said, you can manipulate them. I would love to, if they sent me some cameras to set them up all over the woods and then call a turkey in. And I think it would be really cool to have the focus on the camera and a turkey strutting beside it,
Yeah.
or the opposite. But just waiting for that phone call, I guess.
Cool.
We'll make a clip and then we'll tag reveal.
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
See
yeah,
what
yeah,
we,
tag us. Yeah.
see what we can do.
Yeah, thanks.
Uh, okay, this is where I want to talk about
All right.
one of my favorite photos you've ever taken, and it is the elk bugling with the breath.
Yeah.
So, and you've already told me this story, but I don't care. I will listen
I've
to it
never
100. Yeah, Bethy's never heard
I
it.
haven't heard it.
Okay.
I would listen to it 100 times. So please tell us exactly how that happened, and
Yeah.
don't be afraid to give us all the details because it's awesome.
Yeah. So, solo trip to Wyoming, specifically Grand Teton National Park. I went there for the elk rut. I had never been there before, so it was incredible. If you ever have a chance, I would definitely recommend going to Grand Teton. So that was middle September, end of September. So we were right in the peak of the elk rut. Had no idea where to look. The night before, I went out and just listened and could hear bugling. So now I had an idea. Next morning, got up, was going through the park gates at 4:30. Sun was going to come up at about 5:15, 5:20. Park ranger stops me at the gate and he puts on his flashlight and he looks through my car. He goes, "You by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you have bear spray?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "I also carry a firearm," which you're allowed to do in national parks. If you discharge a firearm, it's a hefty fine, but I'd rather that than my leg being ripped off. So I'm going to carry. Um, so he goes, "You are in prime grizzly bear territory." He's like, "You are by yourself. Do not get out of the car until the sun comes up. And even then, make sure other people are on the trail with you." Like, he's like, "There have been a lot of sightings where you're headed right now." I was like, "Okay, no problem. Cool." Obviously, got a little bit worried, but continued and pulled over on the side of the road at a little pull off, got out of the car, and heard bugling up on the mountain. And I was like, all right, exactly where I thought they would be. There was like a little parking area with a trail for hiking. So I parked and I'm sitting in my car, windows down, just kind of like tapping my foot. Like, come on, I need the sun to come up. And then I'm like, but then people are going to show up and I don't want people here. And I was like, you know what, screw it. So I get all my camera gear, throw it on my back. I start hiking. And as I'm starting to hike, it is like pitch black. If you've ever been to Wyoming, it is dark, dark. Wyoming and Montana are the darkest places I've ever been. There's no, um, there's no light pollution at all. Like, you can't see it. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face.
Wow.
But elk were bugling their faces off, and I knew that I had to kind of work my way towards them. So I'm walking. Um, I'm not making any noise because I don't want to scare the elk. I don't have a flashlight because I don't want to scare the elk.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so as I'm walking, I'm like, as long as they're bugling, they would know before I do that there's a bear, right? So I'm just going to keep going. It is the weirdest feeling. You don't think of your heart as a muscle until it works that hard.
Yeah.
So my heart, everything in me was saying, turn the fuck around. Like, something is
God.
really, really wrong. Turn around. But they were bugling so much and I just had to get up in the mountain.
God.
So at this point, I am maybe, I don't know, half a mile in, and now I can start to see shapes in the woods, trees, and stuff like that. So, and they are just going crazy. And I looked at the map and there was a meadow. So I popped down into this meadow and sit on the tree line, and they're bugling. I can't hear, or I can't see them. There's two behind me on the mountain and there's one in the meadow in front of me, and I still can't see anything. Sun starts to come out. It hits that little sliver of the horizon that I told you about when it's absolutely perfect. It is directly in front of me, and maybe 10 cows go running at 150 yards in this meadow, like through. I'm like, okay, they're being chased. And he comes up and he stands 150 yards and he bugles. And I take a couple photos, but 150 yards, it's nothing special. Uh, it's still, everything was really cool. Like, enjoyed the moment. If that's where the morning ended, great. Would have been a completely different story, but I was completely happy with how it went. So as I'm sitting there taking photos, the two behind me are just ripping, going crazy. And I'm leaning against a tree and I shift my weight and a twig snaps and it echoes. And it sounded like I stepped on a grenade. And that's how loud it felt. And he turns and looks right at the tree. And I'm like, I'm busted. Like a white-tailed deer, I'm busted. He's gone. This guy charges, full on, head down charge. He goes from 150 yards to 60 yards. Like, I thought I was climbing the tree. I was getting ready I looked up to see if I could climb the tree. Elk are a little bit different. So he must have thought the elk behind me came off the mountain. So, and the twig snapping was them coming in and probably, trying to get into his harem and take his cows. So he got to 60 yards and he's standing there just drooling. And I'm just like, I'm standing there with my camera like at my hip, freaking out. And he's standing there drooling. And I was like, okay. And I just start taking photos. So he's standing there and then he just rips, just a full on bugle. So a elk bugle is a long bugle and then some chuckles, right? So it's like a whoop, 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 like that. So the photo is one big puff, which is really far away from him, and then all the chuckles. You can see all the chuckles. So you got one little puff from the most recent chuckle, and then slightly bigger, slightly bigger, slightly bigger, and then a big one from the main bugle. And
That's so cool.
man, he stood there and he just, I mean, drooling, fully convinced that somebody was coming off the mountain to challenge him. And then he got to about 50 yards. And at that point, I stepped out from behind the tree and went, yo, and he turned and ran away. Like I could not let him get any closer. One, for my life. Two, with my 600 millimeter, about 65 yards is pretty prime. He was about 65, 70 yards. For that big of an animal, that's filling the frame. That's as good as it gets. Anything closer, it's just what you don't get any foreground. It's not worth it. But yeah, man, it was an unreal. So I'm sitting there after he runs away, and I'm looking through the photos on the back of the screen, and I am hysterical. I am laughing and uncontrollable, not like loud or anything like that, just like shaking, kind of like when, people buck fever kind of feeling. And I'm just like, what just happened? And then you snap out of it and you're like, you're in bear country.
Yeah.
This could be like wake up. So then I'd make my way back to the car. Never saw a bear or anything like that. Definitely, it was a weird feeling, turning corners and be like, oh, something feels weird. And at that point, I had a water bottle. I'd start like banging the water bottle and making noise. Never saw anything, but your body kind of tells you sometimes. And that was that. Didn't end up seeing anything, but it was an unbelievable experience. And I framed that photo. That is my logo. So that is the antler on my logo right here.
That's
Of the side of that elk. So Bethany, to go back to you, when did you know? Question.
yeah.
Maybe that was it,
Yeah.
because I went home and was just like, what just happened?
Oh my gosh.
That is the photo. Once in a lifetime. I don't think it'll ever happen again. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Such a cool story.
yeah.
What was your goal during that trip, to get that breath? Or were you just
No,
trying
I just wanted to photograph elk. It was a solo trip. Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
is
it was
where preparation and luck, like, they
Yeah, yeah.
intertwine
They
because
just
you were so
completely, yeah.
prepared, but, like,
Yeah.
that was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I got that." That's
Right.
nuts.
you
Yeah, it
seem to
was good.
sorry, you seem to know a lot about animals and their behavior and kind of like how their patterns.
Mhm.
Did photography teach you that, or do you have a pretty robust background and upbringing into the behaviors of animals?
Yeah, I mean, I started hunting when I was 12, like a lot of people. And then you start to notice little cues. Definitely didn't notice them when I'm, 12 to, we'll say, 18 years old. And then you're just like, wait, that I've seen a deer do that before. And then the reaction was the exact same. I've seen a turkey um, come out of strut, and you'll see both their wings when they come out of strut. They're uh, I guess they're just the side wings. When they come out of strut, if they lift them up and fold them over each other, they're done. Like, that is game over. So there's no, if you watch a turkey strut and then he pops out of strut, his wings stay unlocked because he wants to strut again. If he comes out of strut and you see his wings go like that, it's over. So, like, there's a lot of small things that you start to pick up. Photography has taught me way more than hunting ever has, but it's because I get to spend way more time with the animal. So hunting could be you see the animal, you shoot the animal in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Photography is you see the animal, you shoot the animal, and you're with it for another 2 hours, and you start to pick things up. So moose are the same way. You start to. I've had a lot of luck with moose, really any animal, but moose in particular, because you start to notice what moose want to do. And like when I'm in Wyoming, I'll see a bull moose and from the road, and I'll kind of have an idea of what they want to do, and I'll drive another mile and park and jump into the woods. And moose, it's crazy. it's like I do a big half circle and I just get in front of them and sit there for a couple hours, and there he is walking right towards me, and you get that photo, all because you learn the animal's behavior. Now, does it work every time? No, but we've had a lot of luck. My girlfriend comes with me a lot, and it's funny. We'll be driving, and she'd be like, "There's a moose. Let's go." And I was like, "Well, let's stop. Use binoculars. Figure out where he's angled, what he's doing, time of day. They don't want to be out in the sun. Like, when is he going to disappear? Where is he going to disappear into the woods? Is there a body of water that he wants to get to? Stuff like that. We'll just keep driving and just go sit in the woods. And it's the coolest thing. I mean, it's just like hunting. You'll be sitting there, and then you'll just see the top of his paddles, and then his face, and then his body, and he's coming right. And when it works, I'll look at my girlfriend and just be like, "Here he comes!" Like it's
Yeah.
it's about to happen. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So now that elk picture slash experience,
Yeah.
is that an experience where you wish you maybe would have had a high powered rifle with you instead of a camera? Because that elk was
He did have a gun with him.
not you just had like a
yeah.
you just had like a pistol or something,
You're
right?
right,
Oh,
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was just a small firearm. But no, I don't think I'd ever actually, harvest an elk. I don't have any desire to do that. I get a lot of invites of people that are hunting and they want me to come and film. I'll do that all day long. Um, I don't know, man. I love to just be with the animal, them and moose, and just watch them. Moose are very methodical. They're huge, but they're very methodical and they move around slowly and then they just disappear. It's the craziest thing. And then elk are completely, they're very vocal like turkeys. Um, and they push their cows around, and then they clash horns and everything like that. It's just, I'd rather enjoy that for an hour than have the 10-minute glory of shooting it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing what you were made to do. Then I mean, if you answer it like that, then you were put on this earth for one or two reasons, and I would say one of those is capturing awesome photos of
Yeah,
animals.
I'm sure it's so peaceful too to do, right? Like, is it like
Yeah.
soothing for you? I don't know.
No, 100%. Now,
Yeah.
I tend to push myself a little bit too far. Um, my phone's at 10%, which sucks. But
Oh.
I tend to push myself just a little bit too far. So I will stay in the woods longer than I probably should. I will hike places that I probably shouldn't be hiking. All legal.
Yeah.
I get permission from landowners and stuff like that. But like in Grand Teton, I love going over Thanksgiving. But it is -7 degrees,
Mm.
and you're sitting out in with your hand warmers and your toe warmers for hours trying to get the photo. And I will take 100 photos and think I have the photo, but I'm like, but what if I waited another hour? Like,
Yeah.
what could he do? So there's a fine line. It's probably a little crazy, but there's a fine line here, and I definitely push a little bit too far
Yeah,
in terms of not not. I don't push the animal. That's a big no-no for me. I love the natural reaction. There are a lot of photographers that will. I've seen a lot of photographers that will be photographing and the moose is eating and they want him to pick his head up, which is obviously the ideal situation. So they'll start going, "Hey, hey," and they want him to pick his head up. But that's not the natural reaction. The natural reaction, which I've gotten a lot of times, is coyotes or wolves howling, and they pick their head up for that. That's a natural reaction. Or I got a photo last year of two fawns that I was sitting there and they were kind of eating together. And I wanted them to pick their head up. I really did. But they were just kind of milling around, butts towards me, like nothing was really working. But I sat there and just let it happen and thought, if I get a photo, I get a photo. If I don't, like, this is a cool experience. And these two fawns walked up to each other and rested, like they were licking each other and cleaning each other. and then they rested their head on each other's shoulders. And
Aw.
that's the photo I got. And I was like, if I would have, been impatient and tried to make something happen, I would have never seen this.
Yeah,
I go,
that's, like, very authentic. Like, your photos are very authentic for that
yeah.
reason then, and it's less forced photography and more, like, authentic, natural. I love that. Awesome.
Have you ever been in a situation where you actually did fear for your life?
The Grand Teton one, for sure, with the park rangers telling me there were bears everywhere. Last year in Grand Teton, we had photographing this big bull moose. He was chasing a cow, and the cow was in front of him, and they were a good 100 yards away, and they were coming right at us, and everything was working great. And this cow was very frisky, and she full out charged, and there were other people there, and they watched it all happen. But so my girlfriend and I are leaning up against a tree. This bull moose and cow were working towards us, and out of nowhere, they got to they got really close really quickly. And in that situation, you can't do much. You kind of have to assess everything that's happening and figure out an escape plan, but you can't do your escape plan really quickly. So they got to about from 100 yards to maybe 50 yards really fast. And I was like, we're kind of pinned here. There's really nothing that we can do. If we get up away from this tree, this is the only tree in the area. So we're kind of out in the open. So she's standing there staring at us. I'm looking through my camera, photographing the bull who's full out sprinting at her, which is a really cool moment. But my girlfriend she goes, "We got to go." And I was like, "We're fine. They're like a horse. If she pins her ears, that's where we're in trouble." And I was like, "I'm looking through my camera, so I can't see her. She's kind of off to my right." I was like, "You tell me she pins her ears, and that's when we know that, we have a few seconds to be careful." So she's standing there, ears completely up, looking at us. And moose eyesight is not good. They really have to be pretty much on top of you. So they really rely on their hearing and scent for a lot of things. And because of hunting, I have a tendency to always be um, downwind so that, they don't really smell us. So uh, I'm looking through the camera photographing this bull, and my girlfriend goes, I think she's pinning. And when I put my camera down, she is running, full out running at us. And the moose, I don't know if you've ever seen videos, but their defense mechanism is to stomp a
My God.
predator or whatever. So she starts high lifting her legs, right? So
Oh.
she's coming. So at that moment, it was a fight or flight. I took it as, it's like a cow. Whenever a cow charges at the farm, you either turn quickly and get out of there and hope they can't turn, or you call their bluff.
Mm.
My instinct said call the bluff. So I put the camera, she's running at us. I lower the camera and I stand up and I take a big step at her. And she slams the brakes and goes right. And I turn around to like tell my girlfriend we're fine, and she is full out sprinting
That's what I would
the
be doing.
opposite direction.
That's literally what I would be doing.
So we had to have a long conversation in the car because she we had to have a long conversation of, listen, you have to stay with me because that cow could have easily just circled me and said, oh, I don't want to mess with him, but what's that thing doing?
Oh my
And then
God.
I was like, I can't protect you at that point. Like, it's over. So it was pretty wild. We talked through, and it's really on me. So I'm taking her into these into these places that aren't the safest. And we have to have conversations of what do we do if something bad happens. And ultimately, it's stay by my side. I have a gun. I have bear spray. So you stay with me, and everything will be okay.
Yeah. Her
But
fight
it
or
was so
flight
fun.
her fight or flight went the other way.
Right. That flight was her. Yeah. Yeah. We're two completely different people, but she needs to trust that I
Yeah,
am gonna keep her
exactly.
safe. Yeah. Um, so it was so funny because then like an hour later we were in the car, going back to the Airbnb and she goes, "What a rush." And I'm just like, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
you
like, yeah, it
fled.
is, but you gotta stay with me. Yeah. And then uh so in the same hour, so these people saw this all happen. So then they come up and we're talking about what happened, and the one guy was like, "What made you do that?" And kind of told the same story. Grew up on a farm. You kind of figure things out from there, and kind of called their bluff. So I was like, "These bulls," and there's two other photographers. I was like, "These bull elk or moose are going to go into the stream. That's where they're headed. It's going to be they have to get a drink of water, and then they're going to bed down for the rest of the day." And so they're like, "Are you gonna go to the stream?" And I was like, "I was going to, but that's a bear track." And this is November. I thought they would have been hibernating, but there were bear tracks in the snow. So some bears are just late. And I was like, I would I'd probably still try. I don't know how old the bear track is. So they were like, "Can we come with you?" And I was like, I mean, I guess. And they're like, "After seeing what you just did, like, we trust you." So now I'm in charge of 3 people, and we're walking through this high stuff that you can't see anything in. And at one point, I'm in the zone, like, okay, where do these guys want to go? Where do these moose want to work to? There's a bend in the stream. I've seen them there before. So I'm kind of going that way. And I was like, oh, wait, shit. I got to keep these people safe. So then I just start going, "Hey, bear. Hey, bear." And they're like, "What, bear? What do you mean?" And I was like, "No, like, I'm trying to keep everybody safe. Don't worry. Like, let's just get to the river and we'll be fine. We'll be okay." Yeah, that was a whole scenario. Alaska was I had a mom and 2 cubs. Uh, I was photographing them in the river, and the mom was hunting, fishing, and the cubs are on a sandbar. And uh, so you're with a guide, right? He has a pistol and he has bear spray out there. I'm just a photographer out there. I'm not in a national park. I'm not in my Pennsylvania woods where I feel like I can keep myself safe. So you're always with them. You're always within like a 10-foot space of them. And I said, "The lighting is really good over there. Like, I really want to go over there." So he assessed the situation and said, "Go ahead." So now we're a good 50 yards apart, and he's standing there watching, seeing how the bears are reacting. The mom's just fishing, doing her thing. Out of nowhere, the mom slaps her mouth, and the babies come running to her side, and she starts walking towards me. And when I was photographing her, she was probably 65 yards away. She starts walking towards me, and I look at the guide and I said, "We got to go." And he goes, "Too late. Don't move." And I was like, "Oh, shit." And we're 50 yards apart. Like, not the 10 yards that so she says something to her cubs. The sow says something to her cubs, and they start walking towards me. I say, "We got to go." The guide says, "Too late. Don't move." And you're in waders from the moment you wake up. Like, you get up, you put your waders on, you get on these float planes, and they fly you to location. So my tripod's in the water. I put my camera as close to the water as possible. So I'm like crouched down in the water. The waders are they're keeping me dry, but I'm down in the water. Um, so they start walking towards, and he goes, "Do not move. Like, don't stand up, don't shift, don't make it seem like you are an aggressive thing in the water."
Wait, what kind of bears were these at first?
Alaskan grizzlies.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and granted, they're so full on salmon, they're not looking to eat a
Yeah.
person. But if I do something aggressive, especially with cubs, um, they could, I don't think they'd eat me, but one swipe and I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Um, So I just put my face on the camera, right? And I'm like resting my head, like, oh God, what are they going to tell my mom if something bad happens? And and no joke, this mom and her cubs, 10, I want to say 10 yards, it was probably 15. It felt super close. 15 yards, did a circle around me and then continued downriver and started fishing again.
Oh my
And
god.
when they passed and I kind of like turned and watched them go away, I looked at the guide and I was like, what the like, and he goes, hell yeah. And I was like, well, okay, fine. Yeah, sure. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
you
was
could say
just,
that.
yeah, yeah. So, it was funny because I went to Alaska, and everybody was like, "You go to Alaska one time, and you're going to try and go back like every single year." And I was like, "This is a very expensive trip. I don't, that's not something that I'll be able to do." And I'm not joking. Day 2 of a 6-day trip, when I had Wi-Fi, I was looking up flights to somehow get back there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and Alaska is just I I'm so excited to go back next year. I wish I was there right now. You see all of social media. Now's the time to be there. So July is beginning. The salmon are starting to swim upstream, but they right now bears are kind of in these mud flats or sedge fields, and they're eating the grass in the sedge fields, and they're on these mud flats digging for clams. So a lot of people are out there for that right now. And then as you get into late July, that's the salmon run.
Mm.
And that's when you can catch them fishing and catching fish in midair, like jumping over the waterfalls and stuff like that.
I have 2 quick questions about bears. One of them is
Mhm.
a stupid question, so I'm just sorry, but, are there polar bears in Alaska, or are they only in other places? This is a stupid question.
That's a great question. I believe there are polar bears Alaska's huge, right?
Yeah,
I believe there are polar bears in the northern part of Alaska.
okay.
Now, polar bears, I don't know much about them, but I do know that because their territory is shrinking, polar bears are starting to be like a nuisance in landfills up there.
Uh,
So they're so m- majestic, uh, the majesty of a polar bear and everything like that is kind of going away because they're losing the places they should be hunting, which
oh,
sucks.
jeez.
Wow.
Um, and I guess, my second question about bears is like the tail that people say, like, if it's brown, lay down, if it's black, something, something, if it's yeah, fight back, and if it's
Yeah,
white, say goodnight. Is that true? Like, in your
yeah.
experience?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That you don't wanna run from a grizzly. That just is a horrible idea. Laying down sounds like a horrible decision as well. So, I never wanna be in that situation, and that's why bear spray is something you always wanna have, and I don't carry a pistol, a firearm for a bear. I carry a firearm for a mountain lion.
Mm,
A mountain lion you will never know it's there. It'll jump on your back. You have to be able to pull a firearm out of the holster and shoot something that's on your back. Um, a a grizzly bear, you could unload the clip. That thing's still going to hit you hard. So bear spray is the absolute best thing
yeah.
in that situation. Yeah,
Okay. All right. I was trying.
but
Um,
black bears, yes, black bears are definitely something that black bears aren't huge, right? They
Yeah.
can get decently big, but I've had the opportunity to photograph a lot of black bears, and honestly, think of a large breed of a dog.
Mm,
They
okay.
don't get they don't get that big.
You could scare them away easily too by just yelling and
Yeah, I mean, they're still gonna shred you. I mean, their nails are insane, but yeah, you can definitely stand up to a black bear a little bit better than it does.
yeah,
At
let's
eight
not I
hundred
just
pounds.
never am in that situation, or
Yeah,
I'm
never
with
be in that
somebody who
situation.
knows. Yeah.
You never want to be in a situation where you're standing there going, "Okay, this is a black bear. What was the saying? If it's black, I can." Yeah,
I'm gonna be singing it in my head. If
yeah,
it's
yeah.
black. I don't know. Then I'm gonna
Well,
like
it's gonna be a black bear. You're gonna try and be completing it. You're gonna be like, "What do they say about brown bears again, though? But this one's black, so why does that matter?"
that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. Um, the another one of my favorite photos is,
There.
and you had it in the background prior to the
Yeah.
technology problems we had.
Yep.
Yeah. My plan is to actually like split the screen and put these photos up as we're talking about
perfect.
them. Uh, I guess I should probably ask your permission to do that first.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, yeah, that picture. I mean that is.
Yeah,
I mean, good
that's
night. That is awesome. Can you walk us through that?
was this in
Yeah.
Alaska?
That was in Alaska, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was in Alaska. That was again last year, and that was really cool. So there was two younger bears. We're assuming that they were siblings. One was male, one was female. The male was didn't seem to know as much about fishing as the female. So it was really cool to watch them. She would catch a fish and he would kind of watch, and then he'd kind of walk over really slowly and try and get some of it. And but it was really cool. We were on a sandbar on the river, and she ran completely away from us, the opposite direction. And it's such a cool experience when they're running through a foot of water like it's air and water splashing everywhere. And
Mhm.
she dove on this fish and she stood up, and the people in the group that I was with were just like, that would have been so cool to see. And it would have been like, if she was running towards us, it would have been fantastic. But um she caught this fish and she turned around and she walked right towards us with this fish to the sandbar that we were on so that she could eat the fish and not eat it in a foot of water.
Wow.
And as she was walking towards us, um, the salmon. So last ditch effort, what they do is they don't know any better. So they're like, I'm dead. I have to get rid of all my eggs if it's a female. So as she's walking, this female salmon is just releasing her eggs all over the place.
Oh my.
And we're taking up photos, and
Where
it
do you
was really
see?
cool. So in that photo you can see a couple eggs,
Yeah.
and then like coming out of her, and then they slit up and they're like under her throat as well.
Oh my God.
So it's such a cool thing because you can tell instantly if it's a male or female. If it's a female, she just evacuates all her eggs. If it's a male, he evacuates white stuff. Like it just goes, and that
Crazy.
it's not going to do anything. Those eggs are dead. They did not make it to the breeding grounds. But obviously, salmon don't know any better. They're like, I have to try. So they just kind of let everything go.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a pretty wild experience. And then she stood on the sandbar and we watched her eat it for, all of 30 seconds. And then she went back to fishing.
so cool.
Yeah.
Before I die, on my bucket list is to kill and maybe you don't want to hear this because you probably
Dude, I love hunting. Like it's
I know
nothing
you do. I know you do, but a bighorn sheep,
Yeah.
right? And you have captured some pretty cool photos of them. Even like when I was younger, the St. Louis Rams,
Mhm.
then St. Louis Rams, I always thought they had the coolest logo on their helmets. It was just the horn. Now it's the LA Rams. But so I've just been obsessed with that ever since I was young.
Yeah.
My question to you is, how grueling of a hunt would that be, given what you know now?
Oh my gosh. Dude, these things live in places that make zero sense. Like and they're impossible to find. They blend in perfectly with the
Yeah.
mountain that they're climbing. But I would love to. I haven't been able to see them actually stand on their hind legs and hit.
Yeah.
I've watched videos. I've heard people say it feels and sounds like a gunshot. So I know a couple places that I can go watch it. It's just timing it up. That I have to get there and photograph it. But um, dude, they are just an unbelievable animal. Just straight muscle. Um, the coolest thing is, and again, a lot of people, unless you hang out with these animals, you're not going to know the males will go up to each other and they'll stand opposite. So like, uh, you know, if this is their head and this is their head, they'll stand opposite of each other. And instead of butting heads like they do, they will literally sit there and kick each other in the balls.
What?
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
yeah. It's the what, like they just stand beside each other and they're just like, now your turn, and they just keep going until somebody backs down. It's the wildest thing to watch. And
It's like the
again,
slap fights on ESPN.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, dude, it's something that nobody. I mean, people could be on vacation and see these rams and just be like, oh, they're just standing beside each other. But when you hang out with them and actually watch them do these things, it is such a cool. I mean, nature is just a wild, wild place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I don't mean to get religious by any means, but when people, and not that I'm around people that don't really believe in God, maybe they don't, I don't know, that's fine. But
Yeah, yeah,
I always like think in the back of my head, like, okay, I would love for you to come wood duck hunting with me one time,
yeah.
to walk into the woods when it's pitch black and then see the earth essentially wake up.
Hmm.
Because it always starts with about 30 geese flying off a pond, right? And just seeing that in itself is
The
awesome.
fog.
The fog lifting off of the pond. I mean, it's just,
And tell me that God doesn't
yeah.
exist.
And
Right.
again, if that's what, I'm not here to tell anybody what to believe in, but to me, it's
No.
just like,
I'm here
there's,
to say that.
that's not put there, that's there for a reason. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, dude, I say this all the time, is God doesn't have to be found while sitting in a church pew.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You can be leaning against an oak tree. You can be sitting in the water in Alaska. Like you can. It doesn't have to be on Sunday. It doesn't have to be in a building. It can be on Sunday in the middle of the woods watching a moose underneath the Teton Mountain Range.
yep,
Yeah.
It the people that feel like there's a lot of people that judge because you don't go to church, but uh, I believe I do,
yeah,
just in a different way.
yeah. It's like that song,
I was just about to
yeah, where I find God, by Larry
Yeah,
Fleet.
yeah,
say.
It's
exactly.
just, yeah, that's a great point. Great point.
Going back to the goats real quick.
We're almost done here.
Yeah,
This
we
is,
are.
I know we got,
I know we're over our time. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Going back to the goat, or not the goats, the sheep. I was about to ask a question about the goat or about goats. You said they climb mountains, but have you ever seen the goats that like? Nope, I know, but I'm saying like there's goats that climb mountains that just hang on mountains,
oh,
like
Yeah.
that just like
So
hang out. Like I don't know
the
where to.
bighorn sheep, the bighorn sheep can climb, right? But
Yeah.
you're thinking of the white mountain goats.
Yes, like have you ever
Um,
seen those up close in person or no?
so we were. This would have been great. Would have got back yesterday, so everything was booked to go to Colorado to see them, and then bought a house. So that we had to cancel.
Oh
So
no.
hopefully next
Good.
year. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
that's definitely something, and it's incredible. The place that we were going to go, they hang on the side of cliffs. They are at about 14,000 feet, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And they're in a meadow of wildflowers, and it's a really cool. Hopefully next year about this time, I'll have some photos of those. But yeah, if you look them up too, I know we're trying to develop technology that mimics their feet,
Oh.
but their feet are so wild. They're almost like felt, and they grab onto anything. It is the wildest thing.
I've I've always thought that was fascinating looking at those pictures of them just literally hanging on that mountain
On
and
nothing.
yeah, on nothing. It's like
Yeah,
it's just a ledge. That's
I
it.
know.
I thought
Yeah.
that's so cool. But
I've
that made me
seen that
think of
we're
that.
trying to develop technology that mimics that, that will
Yeah.
grab on to nothing. It is,
Yeah.
and we, you know, we develop a lot of things, we scientists, not me, develop a lot of technology and stuff that mimics animals, like, you know, obviously planes, fighter jets. If you look at a falcon, how it flies in a fighter jet, it's pretty much the same exact concept. there's so much to be learned from wildlife, um, that I could go on and on about how, we're ruining that, and wild places aren't wild anymore, and I'm afraid to see what the planet's gonna look like in 10 years, but,
Yeah.
I just wish more people understood how much we could learn from them instead of taking away. Like, people always complain, "There's deer in my backyard, they're eating all my plants," and stuff like that, and it's just like, well, they were here first, and we
Mhm.
decided to build houses that were a foot apart, so that's really on us.
They need to
Yeah.
eat too.
Right, yeah, and
Yeah.
I get it. It's annoying, but at the same time, we're sharing this planet, right? We're not trying to absolutely own it and get rid of everything. And if that's our objective, then, you know, 10 years, it could be 5 years that we're here. It's an
Yeah.
interesting situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is crazy to see what it's going to be like.
But
I just want
Jordan,
to ask.
you
Go
said
ahead.
wood ducks. I love photographing wood ducks, and I
Yeah.
know you've reached out. Why is the oh shit? You've reached out.
This is the
Why is
pinnacle of
the
just great technology.
yeah.
Sorry.
It just jumps ship off the box here.
This is actually the best quality we've had
Yeah,
in
it
the
is.
podcast
It
ever.
is.
Like,
Yeah.
things just keep going around.
Go
Nice.
ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, all honestly, all I see right now is Bethany's arm. I don't see anything
Dude,
else.
I don't know, man. Just run with it. Just run
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it.
it's fine. As long as I can hear you. Yeah, there's a wood duck that hangs around here in Pennsylvania in the winter,
Yeah.
and it's wild. But because of that, when the lake freezes, he can only be in a certain area to eat. So he has to accept that I'm there. It's the
Yeah.
coolest freaking thing.
Yeah. Wood ducks are, to me, the coolest looking duck, right? I mean,
100%.
I love a greenhead mallard.
Yeah.
But a wood duck is just absolutely beautiful. We have one mounted and we have two more coming pretty soon, and I'm so excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah. Are they
But
flying when they're
yeah,
mounted? Like,
yeah. So it's our
okay.
the two puppies we have. It's their first retrieve. So the one is going to
Nice.
be cupped up, like landing towards you, and then the second one, it was a more mature drake. So it's going to be a side view of it, so you can like really see the mullet in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna look awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I've seen those pictures, and I reached out to you before. Like, dude, what is that wood duck still doing around here? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. But
But
that's neat, man.
dude, it's completely calm water because it's winter. He's in these little pockets that are frozen, so I'm getting reflection shots. And then it wasn't on my list of stuff that I really wanted when I made a list in January. But he would hang out underneath an oak tree, and a wood duck's main source of food are acorns.
Yep.
So he would hang out there, and I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool if he got out of the water and ate some acorns. Well, he was swimming around, and there must have been an acorn at the bottom, and he dove, and he came back up, and he had one in his mouth, and it was the wildest thing. So he came up, and he swam underneath in all this brush as soon as he came up, almost like somebody's going to see this. I need to eat it in private. So as
Yeah.
soon as he came up, he's soaked in water, almost like he was, dipped in resin or something like that. That's how the photo looks. And then he has this acorn in his mouth. And after I took that photo, I was just like, I didn't even know something like this was a photo like this was possible. So,
Yeah.
I can make the list every year, but while I'm in the field, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, oh, it'd be so cool if this happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that list just keeps getting longer, and then
Yeah. Right.
before you know it, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know this could happen.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
put this on my list and cross it off because it
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Killing wood ducks and then feeling it like in their neck, you can like feel the acorns is like so cool too. That never
It's
gets old.
Yeah.
It's so wild. And when I tell people, like when I took the photo and people are like, what, why does he have an acorn? And you explain that's their main source. And it's just like, wait, how do they eat it? And they literally just swallow it whole.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You wouldn't think that, but that's what they do. They're a
Right.
special type of duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
and beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we should we end it? Do you have any other questions you want to ask, Bethany?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I mean, this has been awesome, Zach. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for
You're
joining
welcome.
I
us.
could talk to you for hours.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly.
great. Why
Yeah.
don't you guys come over? Whenever we're moved in and everything, come on over.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, absolutely,
That'd be
man.
fun.
Yeah, you can just tell stories.
Hopefully we have some stories for you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you can just listen to you talk. But no, I'd love to have you on again. You know, if we could just do this like once a year or something, once every 8, 10, 12 months, whatever, just to hear more about your stories. That would be awesome for us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do us a favor. Tell us where our listeners can find you on social media.
Yeah, so my Instagram is at z.mcqueen_photography. I think if you just search ZACK McQueen, Zack McQueen, you should be able to find me. But I try and post as much as often. My Instagram has definitely grown in the past 6 months to a place that I never thought it would. It makes me really happy that people enjoy wildlife as much as me, and I really, really hope that my page gives people, you know, ideas to go out and enjoy wildlife and understand that this is something that we need to save and conserve and really focus on that. And it's really cool that social media has done what it has done for me. Like I said, I'd do it even if social media wasn't a thing, but because of social media, my name has gotten into places that I never thought it would.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, very well said. And we've said it a million times. You do a fantastic job. Keep
Thank
up
you.
the good work because I know people will enjoy it. So
Thanks, guys.
keep doing what you're doing, and we'd like to have you back on. But yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yeah, you guys, if you guys come over, we're gonna be. We have a sunroom, which is fantastic, and we're gonna be sitting there, and you're gonna pop out of nowhere and be like, "Hey, all right, we're here with Zach, and we're gonna start our podcast." And
We're gonna start taping immediately.
yeah. You're gonna bring a tripod and set up your phones and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy.
Yeah. That's exactly.
That's it. All right, awesome, man.